I just listened to every album by the Rolling Stones, and here are my thoughts. And yes, I am recording twice in one day, partly because I'm excited to talk about this, and also I think I might have fixed my audio issues. We'll see, but I'm excited about that too. So my background with Rolling Stones was very little. I knew maybe 5 to 10 songs by them, my favorite being Paint It Black, which is still my favorite song by them. So Rolling Stones kicks off in 1964 with a self-titled debut. In these first few albums, they have a UK release and a US release, so some of the songs are a little different between each album. But they start off as a British Invasion album and primarily doing covers. You know, each of these albums has 2, maybe 3 original songs, and the rest are all covers. I got 2 songs out of this whole era, which consists of several albums. I got 2 songs that I really liked out of it, one of them being I Can't Get No Satisfaction, of course, one of their most famous songs. I consider 1966's Aftermath to be their first real release, because it was all original songs. This album by itself, it was okay. I didn't love it, but it did have Paint It Black, so it definitely wins some points there. Then right afterwards, they have an honestly really strong release with Between the Buttons. Now this still has a different release between the US and UK, so I do consider this a really noteworthy Rolling Stones album, but it's important to know, like, hey, if you add one to your library, check out the other version and see if there's any songs you might have missed. Then they release a kind of oddball of the group, the album called Their Satanic Majesty's Request. This was an attempt at psychedelic rock. I got the impression that Sgt. Pepper's had just recently come out, and they kind of wanted to cash in on that. They did an okay job, but a lot of people consider this album to be a bit of a flop, and I can see why. It has a few good songs. The next 4 albums are without a doubt Rolling Stones at the top of their game, starting with Beggar's Banquet, and then going into Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, and Exile on Main Street. And this is widely regarded to be Rolling Stones at their best, and I completely agree. All 4 of these albums from front to back were just excellent. There wasn't anything I didn't like about them. This is also where, so their signature sound, their blues rock sound, is really developing here. I also see more and more gospel influences showing through their music. So they have more choir, more background vocals backing up Mick Jagger. It starts going kind of up and down from here. There's a pretty slow descent. I mean, the following album, Goat's Head Soup, was still pretty good. The one after that, It's Only Rock and Roll, was, it was all right. Then they released Black and Blue, which I didn't understand at all. This is one of my least favorite Rolling Stones albums. They really bring it back, though, with the next release, Some Girls. So Some Girls was released in 1978. This is the first of many comeback Rolling Stones albums that they would do. And it's kind of funny. From here, I see a pattern emerging where Rolling Stones, maybe they feel a little confident to do some experimentation. They start dabbling in other genres of music, and it's not received very well. And then they come back with a return to their roots, blues rock album, and everyone says, Rolling Stones are back. A lot of the time, I'm very much in favor of a band experimenting and trying new sounds, but I'm with the critics on this one. Rolling Stones is at their best when they're doing their Rolling Stones thing. So, moving on from Some Girls, Emotional Rescue comes out, not so great. And then Tattoo You comes out, and Tattoo You is amazing. It's totally a return to the great Rolling Stones. Then they release Undercover and Dirty Work, and this is in the 80s, and you can hear it in their music that it sounds very 80s. They're experimenting with other styles here. From what I had read, Mick Jagger was really into trying new styles, like incorporating funk and reggae into their music, whereas Keith Richards was more in the camp of staying in blues rock, staying with what made them successful. These 2 albums were not received well, and then they released Steel Wheels in 1989, and Steel Wheels is fantastic. It's another comeback album. Then they release Voodoo Lounge and Bridges to Babylon. Their work is a lot more spaced out here, so it's taken a lot longer to release albums. They released Voodoo Lounge in 1994 and Bridges to Babylon in, I think, 2005. Scratch that, it was 1997, I just looked. But Voodoo Lounge and Bridges to Babylon almost sounded like if you asked AI to write Rolling Stones albums. You know, Voodoo Lounge had a pretty solid quality throughout, just nothing inspired on it. And then Bridges to Babylon was kind of actively bad, save for its lead single, Saint of Me, which is an excellent song. Then they release A Bigger Bang in 2005, and to me, this is like excellent return to classic Rolling Stones. This was a really good album, honestly. So almost at the end here, Blue and Lonesome comes out in 2016, and this is actually entirely blues covers. So there are no original songs on this album. And it was okay. You know, I got through it. I didn't really add any songs from it onto my classic rock playlist. Part of it was knowing that they were covers, they weren't originals. And then the other part of it is that I like music that's very inspired by the blues, but I don't just love blues by itself. But then they finish off their career, as of yet, as far as we know, with last year's release, Hackney Diamonds. And Hackney Diamonds, I thought, was a solid album. Fits towards the middle of their discography for me, but its lead single, Angry, was the best song they had done in a couple decades, I think. Going through the Stones did increase my appreciation of the band. We actually have tickets, my wife and I, we have tickets to see the Rolling Stones in a couple of months here at the Tacoma Dome in Washington. I'm sure this will be our last chance to see them. Mick Jagger, I think, is 81. Keith Richards is 80. So if we don't see him now, then we won't have a chance later. Right here, is my album rankings of all their albums. From the top spot, Exile on Main Street, down to Tattoo You. To me, that is essential Rolling Stones. You don't know Rolling Stones if you don't know those albums. From Steel Wheels to Hackney Diamonds, that to me is considered albums that I thought were really good. They had a few really good songs on them, so good enough for any classic rock lover, Rolling Stones lover, but not essential if you're just looking to get into the band. From It's Only Rock and Roll down to Blue and Lonesome, this is the range that I would consider to be, you know, okay albums, but you only check them out if you're really dedicated fan. And then everything after that is a descent into albums that I think are actually not good, as in they didn't really need to happen. That's it. Thank you for watching. They have a lot of songs, so I'm gonna have to do a lightning round through my favorites, so it's only gonna be a couple seconds per song. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Uphill, she goes running for the shelter of her mother's. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. When Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Sound of marching George feet, St. Paul the persecutor was a cruel and sinful